Ambassador Lee Hyun sat in his chair at the Galaxy Council meeting room. The room was huge, with tall walls that reached up to a glass ceiling. Through the glass, he could see the purple sky of Nexus Prime, the capital planet of the galaxy. Around him sat the other ambassadors from different alien species. They were talking loudly about trade deals and border problems, but Lee Hyun said nothing. For 3 months now, he had not spoken a single word during these meetings. Every time someone asked him a question, he would just shake his head or point to a sign that said, "No comment." The other ambassadors were getting angry and confused. Chancellor Velthera was a tall, insect-like creature with 4 arms and big black eyes. She led the Galaxy Council and made most of the important decisions. Today she looked very upset as she stared at Lee Hyun. "Ambassador Lee," she said in her clicking voice, "Earth has not answered any of our messages for 3 months. Your ships have stopped coming to our trade stations. Your people have left their jobs in our military bases. What is happening?" Lee Hyun stood up slowly. He was a middle-aged man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been Earth's ambassador for 10 years, and everyone thought he was a friend to the council. But today something was different about him. "I have no comment," he said in a quiet voice. Then he walked toward the door. "You cannot just leave," shouted Ambassador Krexva, a blue-skinned alien with gills on his neck. "We have important business to discuss." But Lee Hyun kept walking. Behind him, the other ambassadors started arguing loudly. Some banged their fists on the table. Others made angry noises in their alien languages. But Lee Hyun did not look back. Outside the meeting room, Kang Mira was packing boxes in the human embassy office. She was Earth's cultural attaché, which meant she helped humans and aliens understand each other better. At least that was what she used to do. Now she was putting her books and personal things into shipping containers. "Are you really leaving?" asked Zixtar, a small purple alien, who worked as a translator. He had been Mira's friend for many years. Mira looked sad but determined. "Yes, Zix, I have my orders. All humans must return to Earth space immediately." "But why? What did we do wrong?" Mira stopped packing and looked at her alien friend. "You didn't do anything wrong, Zix, but things have changed. The council is not what we thought it was." Zixtar's 3 eyes went wide. "What do you mean?" Before Mira could answer, her communication device beeped. She looked at the message and her face became serious. "I have to go now, Zix. Take care of yourself." She picked up her last box and walked out of the office. Zixtar watched her leave, feeling confused and scared. Far away from Nexus Prime, Captain Park Ji-won was flying his cargo ship through space. The Soul's Dream was an old ship that carried goods between human colonies and alien worlds. Park had been doing this job for 15 years. He knew every trade route in this part of the galaxy. Suddenly, his communication system came alive with an urgent message. The voice belonged to Admiral Choi Dong-min, the head of Earth's Space Navy. "Attention all human vessels," the Admiral said. "This is Emergency Order 77 Alpha. All civilian ships must return to human space immediately. Do not stop at alien stations. Do not trade with non-human ships. Do not answer questions from alien authorities. This order is effective right now." Park Ji-won felt his heart beating fast. Emergency Order 77 Alpha was something all human space captains knew about, but none of them thought it would ever be used. It meant that Earth was cutting all contact with alien civilizations. "Computer, set course for Earth," Park said to his ship's AI. "Captain, we are supposed to deliver medical supplies to the Blurian colony on Aqua 7, the computer replied. "Cancel that delivery, we're going home." As Park's ship turned toward Earth, he saw something strange on his scanner. There were more than 50 human ships in this area of space, and all of them were heading in the same direction. Cargo ships, passenger vessels, scientific research ships, and even some small military escorts were all flying toward human territory. On the bridge of another ship, Dr. Yu Jinsu was looking at the same scanner readings. He was a scientist who had been studying alien plant life on the Outer Rim worlds. Like all the other humans, he had received the emergency order. "Dr. Yu," said his assistant, a young woman named Kim Hae-eun. Why are we leaving so suddenly? Our research project was almost finished. Dr. Yu shook his head. I don't know, Heun, but when Earth Command gives an emergency 77 Alpha order, we don't ask questions. We just follow orders. Back on Nexus Prime, Chancellor Velthera was having a private meeting with her advisors. The meeting room was dark and cold, the way the Vextar liked it. Around the table sat representatives from the most powerful alien species in the council. The humans are acting very strange, said General Rexhoon, a Vextar military officer. Our spy satellites show that human ships are forming defensive groups around their colonies. They are building new weapons platforms and increasing their military patrols. Maybe they are planning to attack us, suggested Ambassador Blurfnin, a fat alien with tentacles instead of arms. Chancellor Velthara clicked her mandibles, which was how her species showed they were thinking hard. No, I don't think they want to fight. Humans are too weak for that. They need us for trade and protection. This must be some kind of mistake. What if it's not a mistake? Asked Dr. Gelmara, the council's science advisor. What if they know something we don't? The room became quiet. None of the aliens wanted to think about that possibility. Meanwhile, in a secret location in Earth's solar system, Admiral Choi Dong-min was meeting with President Shin Myung and other important leaders. They were in a bunker deep underground, where no alien spy satellites could see them. Admiral, report on Operation Silence, said President Shin. Admiral Choi stood up and activated a holographic display that showed the entire galaxy. Madam President, Phase 1 is complete. All human civilian vessels have left alien space. All diplomatic missions have been closed. All joint military exercises have been cancelled. As of now, humanity has no official contact with any alien civilization. What about our colonies? Asked General An Seok-jin. All human colonies are now under military protection, the Admiral replied. We have moved our defense fleets into position. If the aliens try anything, we will be ready. President Shin nodded. Good. How long before they start to panic? I estimate 1 week, Madam President, maybe less. The aliens think they understand us, but they have no idea what we're really capable of. On a space station near the edge of human territory, Lieutenant Commander Nam Ji-won was watching alien communication channels through secret listening devices. He worked for Earth intelligence, and his job was to spy on alien governments. What he was hearing made him very worried. Colonel, you need to hear this, he said to his commanding officer. Colonel Lee Kyung-ho. Nam played a recording of a conversation between two Vextar military officers. The aliens were speaking in their own language, but Nam had translated it into Korean. The human silence is troubling, said one alien voice. They have always been eager to please us. Now they won't even answer our calls. Maybe it's time for Project Quarantine, said the second voice. The council has been planning it for months. If the humans won't cooperate voluntarily, we'll have to force them. Colonel Lee's face became very serious. Send this recording to Earth Command immediately. Priority Alpha. Yes, sir. Colonel, what is Project Quarantine? I don't know, Colonel Lee said quietly. But I don't think we want to find out. As the recording was being sent to Earth, Captain Park Ji-won's ship was approaching the outer edge of human space. He could see Earth's sun in the distance, still just a bright dot among many stars. But as he got closer, he saw something that amazed him. There were thousands of human ships waiting for him. Military vessels, cargo ships, passenger liners, and scientific research vessels were all gathered in a huge formation. It was the largest collection of human spacecraft he had ever seen. This is Earth Control, came a voice over the radio. Welcome home, Soul's Dream. Please follow the guide ships to Docking Station 7. As Park followed the guide ships, he felt both scared and excited. Something big was happening. Something that would change everything between humans and aliens. He just didn't know what it was yet. Admiral Rex Hoon looked at the huge fleet of ships floating in space around him. There were 300 Council warships from 5 different alien species. This was the largest military force the Galaxy Council had ever assembled, and he was in command of it all. Admiral, said his communications officer, a younger Vextar named Clicktar. All ships report ready for Operation Safe Harbor. Rexhun clicked his mandibles with satisfaction. Operation Safe Harbor was the Council's code, named for the first phase of Project Quarantine. They would surround the human colony on Kepler 442b and tell the humans they were there for protection. Once the humans accepted their help, the Council ships would never leave. Begin the jump to Kepler system, Rexhun ordered. The massive alien fleet disappeared into hyperspace, heading toward what they thought would be an easy victory. They were very wrong. On Kepler 442b, Commander O. Jinhee was watching her sensors from the command center of New Sol Colony. The colony was home to 2 million humans who had been living peacefully on this world for 30 years. They farmed the land, built cities, and raised their children under the light of an alien sun. But today, everything was about to change. Commander, called Lieutenant Ko Jaewon from his sensor station. I'm detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. Big ones. Commander O had been expecting this. 3 days ago, she had received a secret message from Earth Command warning her that Council forces might try to protect her colony. The message had also told her that help was coming, but she needed to be ready to fight. How many ships? She asked. At least 300, ma'am. Maybe more. They'll be here in 10 minutes. Commander O activated the colony's emergency communication system. Her voice went to every home, every workplace, every school on the planet. Attention, all colonists. This is Commander O. Alien military forces are approaching our world. This is not a drill. All civilians must report to emergency shelters immediately. All military personnel report to battle stations. We are now under martial law. The colony moved like a well-trained machine. Children were quickly taken to underground shelters. Adults grabbed emergency supplies and followed evacuation routes they had practiced many times. Within 8 minutes, every civilian was safe underground. What the approaching aliens didn't know was that New Sol Colony was not a helpless farming community. Hidden beneath the farms and cities were military bases, weapon factories, and shipyards that had been secretly built over many years. Commander, reported Chief Engineer Park Seong-jun from the underground military complex. All defensive systems are online. The planetary shields are charging. Our shipyards report ready for emergency launch. Commander O smiled grimly. Launch? The fleet. Above the colony, the ground began to open in dozens of places. What looked like normal hills and valleys were actually hidden launch bays. From these concealed bases, sleek human warships began rising into space. Admiral Rexhun arrived in the Kepler system expecting to find a few small patrol boats and maybe some cargo ships. Instead, his sensors detected 50 human warships forming, a defensive line between his fleet and the colony. What is this? Rexhun demanded. Intelligence reports said the humans only had 12 ships in this system. Sir, replied Kliktar nervously, our sensors are showing advanced weapon signatures on those ships. Energy readings are much higher than expected. Rexhun was confused but not worried. 50 ships against 300? The humans were brave but foolish. Open a communication channel to the human colony, he ordered. Commander O's face appeared on his main screen. She was a middle-aged woman with short black hair and determined eyes. She wore the uniform of the Terran Defense Force, and she did not look afraid. Admiral Rexhun, she said calmly, you are not welcome in this system. Turn your ships around and leave immediately. Rexhun clicked his mandibles in what his species considered laughter. Commander O, we are here to protect your colony from dangerous space pirates. We have reports that criminal fleets are planning to attack human settlements. Please stand down and allow us to deploy protective forces on your world. We know about Project Quarantine, Commander O replied. We know this is not about protection, this is about control, and we refuse to be controlled. Rexhun's 4 eyes widened in surprise. How did the humans know about Project Quarantine? That was supposed to be secret. I don't know what you're talking about, he said, trying to sound confused. We're only here to help you. No, you're here to cage us, Commander O said. But we won't be caged. Last warning, Admiral. Leave now or face the consequences. Rexhun had heard enough. These humans were obviously confused and scared. A show of force would make them see reason. All ships move to surround the human fleet, he ordered. Prepare for non-lethal suppression tactics. The Council fleet began moving forward. But as they did, something strange happened. The human ships started changing. Their hulls shifted color from gray to black. New weapon ports opened along their sides. Energy shields flickered to life around them. Captain Lim Ji-yan commanded one of the human ships, a destroyer called the Gwangju's Edge. She had been waiting for this fight for months. Her ship was equipped with the newest human technology, adaptive armor that could change its properties, weapons that learned from each battle, and an AI system that could think, faster than any alien computer. All ships, this is Gwangju's Edge, she broadcast to the human fleet. Execute Battle Plan Alpha. Show them what humans can really do. The human fleet moved forward to meet the alien ships. What happened next shocked Rexhun and his officers. The human weapons were unlike anything the Council had ever seen. Instead of simple energy beams or explosive missiles, the humans fired smart projectiles that adapted to whatever they hit. When Council ships raised their shields, the human weapons changed frequency to punch right through them. When the aliens tried to jam human targeting systems, the human computers simply switched to new frequencies. Captain Lim's ship engaged 3 Council cruisers at once. The alien ships were larger and more heavily armored, but they moved like clumsy giants compared to the quick human destroyer. Lim's ship danced between enemy fire while its weapons systematically destroyed alien weapon ports and engine systems. Captain, called her weapons officer, Ensign Moon Kyung-min. Their shield technology is based on rotating energy frequencies. Our AI has analyzed the pattern. We can predict their shield changes now. Excellent, Captain Lim replied. Target their command ship. Time to end this quickly. The Gwangju's Edge fired a barrage of adaptive missiles at Rexhun's flagship. The alien shields tried to stop them, but the missiles changed their energy signatures faster than the shields could adapt. The flagship's weapon systems exploded in brilliant flashes of light across the battlefield. The same thing was happening to every Council ship. The humans had studied alien technology for decades, learned all its weaknesses, and built weapons specifically designed to exploit those weaknesses. Admiral, Kliktar shouted in panic. We've lost 60 ships. Our weapons are having no effect on their armor. Rexhun watched in horror as his massive fleet was systematically destroyed by the smaller human force. It was impossible. Humans were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to need Council protection. Retreat, he ordered. All ships jump to hyperspace immediately. But it was too late. The human ships had surrounded the Council fleet. Their weapons were specifically designed to disable hyperspace engines, trapping the alien ships in normal space. This is Commander O, came the human voice over the radio. Admiral Rexhun, your fleet is defeated. Order your ships to surrender, and we will allow your crews to live. Rexhun looked around his damaged bridge. Half of his officers were injured. His weapons were destroyed. His engines were failing. In less than 1 hour, the humans had turned his great fleet into floating wreckage. How? He whispered. How did you do this? Commander O's voice was cold, but not cruel. You spent decades studying us, Admiral, but we spent decades studying you too. The difference is we learned from what we saw. You only saw what you wanted to see. Rexhun realized the terrible truth. The humans had been pretending to be weak and dependent while secretly becoming more powerful than any Council species. They had used every trade agreement, every joint exercise, every cultural exchange as an opportunity to learn alien secrets. All Council ships, Rexhun said sadly into his radio. Surrender to the humans. Power down your weapons. As the Council fleet surrendered, emergency messages began flying across the galaxy. News of the defeat spread from world to world, causing panic in every Council system. On Nexus Prime, Chancellor Velthara received the news in her private office. For several minutes, she just stared at the report, unable to believe what she was reading. 300 ships defeated by 50, she said to herself. Impossible. But the evidence was clear. The humans had not just won the battle. They had completely destroyed the largest council fleet ever assembled. And they had done it without losing a single ship. Dr. Gilmara, the council's science advisor, burst into her office without permission. Chancellor, we have a problem, a big problem. What now? Velthara asked tiredly. I've been analyzing the battle recordings from Kepler, Dr. Gilmara said, his tentacles waving frantically. The human ships use technology we've never seen before. Dr. Kim Soo-hyun was hiding in a small asteroid field, 3 light-years from the nearest alien world. Her research ship, the Busan Explorer, was painted black and equipped with the best stealth technology that humanity had ever built. For the past 2 weeks, she had been listening to alien radio messages and recording everything. What she heard made her very angry. The human situation is getting worse, said a Vextar voice on the radio. Our trade income has dropped by 30% since they stopped buying from us. Maybe we should have started Project Quarantine earlier, replied another alien voice. This one belonged to a Blurian. The humans were getting too independent anyway. Dr. Kim recorded every word. She was a xenobiologist, which meant she studied alien life forms. But right now she was acting as a spy. Earth Command had asked her to stay hidden and gather intelligence about what the aliens were really thinking. She sent her daily report back to Earth through a special encrypted channel. This is Busan Explorer reporting. The aliens are definitely planning something called Project Quarantine. They mention it every day now. I still don't know what it is, but they seem to think it will solve their human problem. Back on Earth, President Shin Mi-young was reading Dr. Kim's reports in her office. The president was a small woman with smart eyes and gray hair. She had been leading Earth for 6 years, and she had always tried to keep peace with the aliens. But now she was learning that peace might not be possible. Show me the intelligence summary, she said to General An Suk-jin. The general activated a holographic display that filled the room with images and text. Madam President, our spies have been very busy. We now have evidence that the Galaxy Council has been lying to us for many years. The display showed a map of human colonies scattered across the galaxy. Each colony was marked with different colors, green for safe, yellow for threatened, and red for in immediate danger. Look at this, General An continued. The aliens have been slowly moving their military ships closer to our colonies. They told us it was for joint defense, but our analysis shows they are actually surrounding us. President Shin studied the map carefully. How long have they been doing this? At least 5 years, probably longer. They've been very clever about it, moving just a few ships at a time, always with good excuses. In another part of the solar system, Lieutenant Commander Nam Ji-hwan was still listening to alien communications from his secret space station. Today, he had discovered something that made his blood run cold. Colonel Lee, he called to his commanding officer, you need to hear this right now. Colonel Lee Kyung-ho came running to Nam's station. What is it? Nam played a new recording. The voices belonged to high-ranking council members having a private meeting. Project Quarantine is moving to the next phase, said Chancellor Velthara's voice. We will tell the humans that dangerous space pirates are threatening their colonies. Then we will offer to protect them by moving our fleets closer. And once our ships are in position, asked another voice, then we take control of their colonies one by one. We tell them it's temporary for their own safety. Eventually, we relocate all humans to reservation worlds where we can watch them closely. What about Earth itself? Asked a third voice. Earth is too dangerous to leave alone. The humans there have too much technology and too many weapons. Once we control their colonies, we will make Earth surrender or we will destroy it. Colonel Lee's face went white. Send this to Earth Command immediately. Maximum priority. Meanwhile, on a transport ship approaching Earth, Ambassador Yoon Tae-hyung was reviewing video recordings that would change everything. Yoon had been Earth's representative to the Andorian sector for 8 years. He had always thought the aliens there were friendly and trustworthy. He had been wrong. The video showed a secret meeting between Andorian leaders and other council species. In the recording, they were discussing humans like they were animals in a zoo. Humans are useful workers, said one Andorian. They are creative and hardworking, but they ask too many questions and they learn too fast. Soon they might not need us anymore. That's why Project Quarantine is so important, replied a Vextar. We need to control them before they become a threat. Yoon felt sick as he watched the video. These aliens, whom he had considered friends, had been planning to imprison his entire species. When Yoon's ship landed on Earth, he was taken directly to the underground command bunker where President Shin was waiting for him. Mr. President, Yoon said, showing her the video, I think you need to see this. As President Shin watched the recording, her face became harder and harder. When it finished, she was quiet for a long time. How many more recordings like this do we have? She asked finally. Dozens, Yoon replied. Maybe hundreds. The aliens have been planning this for years, maybe decades. They see us as a threat that needs to be contained. President Shin called an emergency meeting of Earth's Global Defense Council. Within hours, the most important people on Earth were gathered in the secret bunker. Military officers, scientists, intelligence agents, and government leaders all came to hear what the aliens had been planning. Admiral Choi Dong-min presented the evidence. Ladies and gentlemen, we now know why the Galaxy Council has been so interested in helping us. They weren't being friendly. They were studying us, learning our strengths and weaknesses, preparing to cage us like dangerous animals. Dr. Bae Soo-jin, Earth's chief scientist, stood up. Admiral, I have something to add. My team has been analyzing alien technology that we received through scientific cooperation programs. We've discovered something interesting. She activated her own holographic display. The technology they shared with us is deliberately limited. They gave us tools that would make us dependent on them, but never anything that would make us truly independent. What do you mean? Asked President Shin. For example, they gave us faster space engines, but the engines require fuel that only they can make. They shared medical technology, but the medicines only work if we buy special chemicals from them. Everything they gave us was designed to keep us under their control. General An Seokjin smiled grimly. What they don't know is that we've been studying their technology very carefully. Our best engineers have learned how to make everything ourselves. We don't need them anymore. Are you sure about that? Asked President Shin. Absolutely. In fact, in some areas, we've already improved on their designs. Our weapons are better. Our ships are faster. Our computers are smarter. We've been pretending to be weak and dependent, but the truth is very different. On the edge of the solar system, Captain Lim Ji-yeon was commanding a small patrol ship called the Daegu's Edge. Her job was to watch for alien spy ships and make sure no aliens came too close to Earth. It was usually boring work, but today was different. Captain, called her sensor officer Ensign Park Hyun-woo. I'm detecting 3 alien ships approaching from the direction of Proxima Centauri. Captain Lim looked at her display. The ships were moving slowly and broadcasting peaceful messages. But something felt wrong. What kind of ships? She asked. They appear to be Vextar scientific vessels, Ensign Park replied. They're requesting permission to enter our space. They say they want to discuss the communication breakdown. Captain Lim thought about the secret orders she had received from Earth Command. No alien ships were allowed in human space under any circumstances, but these aliens didn't know that humans were aware of Project Quarantine. Send them a message, Captain Lim ordered. Tell them we're experiencing technical difficulties with our communication system. Ask them to wait while we try to fix it. Yes, Captain. How long should we tell them to wait? As long as possible. And send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we have visitors. The alien ships stopped at the edge of human space and waited. Inside those ships, Vextar intelligence officers were taking detailed scans of human defenses. They thought they were being clever, but they didn't know that human sensors were much better than they looked. Captain Lim's ship was recording everything. Every scan the aliens made, every signal they sent, every movement they made was being documented and analyzed. Deep in the Busan Explorer, Dr. Kim Soo-yeon intercepted a message that made her heart race. The message was sent from the Vextar ships, at Earth's border to Council headquarters on Nexus Prime. Phase 2. Reconnaissance complete, the message said. Human defenses appear minimal. Recommend proceeding with Phase 3 immediately. Dr. Kim quickly sent this intelligence back to Earth, but she was starting to worry. If the aliens thought human defenses were weak, they might attack sooner than expected. She hoped Earth Command knew what they were doing. Back in the command bunker, President Shin was making the most important decision in human history. Admiral Choi, she said, how long before our preparations are complete? All human colonies are now under military protection, Admiral Choi replied. Our defense fleets are in position. Our weapons are ready. Our intelligence network is fully operational. And if the aliens attack? Admiral Choi smiled. Madam President, they have no idea what they would be attacking. Let them come. We're ready for them. President Shin nodded. Then it's time for Phase 2 of Operation Silence. Cut all communication with the Galaxy Council. If they want to talk to us, they can do it through actions, not words. Admiral Choi Dong-min stood in the main communication center of Earth Defense Command, looking at the massive holographic display that showed the entire galaxy. Red dots marked Council military bases, blue dots showed human colonies, and green lines connected human trade routes. Today he was going to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Are all communication networks ready? He asked his communications officer, Major Song Minji. Yes, sir. We have direct links to every major world, every space station, and every ship in the galaxy. When you speak, everyone will hear you. Admiral Choi took a deep breath. What he was about to say would either bring peace to the galaxy or start the biggest war in galactic history. He hoped it would be peace, but he was prepared for war. Begin transmission, he ordered. Across the galaxy, every radio, every television, every computer screen suddenly displayed the same image. Admiral Choi Dong-min in his blue uniform, standing beneath the flag of Earth. People of the galaxy, he began, his voice calm but strong. I am Admiral Choi Dong-min of the Terran Defense Force. I'm speaking to you today to make an important announcement about the future of human-alien relations. On Nexus Prime, Chancellor Velthera was in an emergency meeting when the transmission began. She and her advisors watched in shock as the human admiral continued speaking. For 200 years, humanity has been a member of the Galaxy Council, Admiral Choi said. We joined your alliance in good faith, believing that we were part of a community of equals working together for peace and prosperity. We were wrong. The Admiral paused, letting his words sink in across the galaxy. Through our intelligence networks, we have discovered that the Galaxy Council has been planning something called Project Quarantine. This project was designed to imprison the human species on reservation worlds and eventually eliminate us entirely. Chancellor Velthara felt her forelegs go weak. How did the humans know so much about their secret plans? Admiral Choi continued. We have evidence that Council forces have been positioning military fleets around human colonies, not for protection as you claimed, but for invasion. We have recordings of your leaders discussing humans like we are dangerous animals that need to be caged. On hundreds of worlds, billions of alien civilians watched in amazement. Many of them had never heard of Project Quarantine. They had been told that the Council was peaceful, and that humans were happy members of the galactic community. Because of these discoveries, Admiral Choi said, humanity formally withdraws from the Galaxy Council, effective immediately. All previous agreements between Earth and Council species are now cancelled. All human colonies are now under the protection of the Terran Defense Force. The Admiral's expression became harder. Any attempt to interfere with human colonies, human ships, or human citizens will be considered an act of war. As you saw at the Battle of Kepler, we are prepared to defend ourselves. In her laboratory on Earth, Dr. Bae Soo-jin was preparing the second part of humanity's announcement. She was Earth's chief scientist, and she had been working for months to prepare this moment. When Admiral Choi finished speaking, Dr. Bae appeared on screens across the galaxy. She was a small woman with kind eyes, but her message was devastating. To the Council. My name is Dr. Bae Soo-jin, she said. I want to talk to you about technology and truth. She activated a holographic display behind her that showed diagrams of alien technology. For decades, the Galaxy Council has been giving technology to member species. You were told that this technology sharing was a gift, a sign of Council generosity. This was a lie. Dr. B.A. pointed to the diagrams. Every piece of technology the Council shared was designed to create dependence. They gave you faster engines, but the fuel could only be made on Council worlds. They shared medical devices, but the power cells could only be purchased from Council companies. They offered computer systems, but the programming could only be updated by Council technicians. On the industrial world of Mechanicus 7th, alien engineers stared at their equipment in shock. Everything Dr. B.A.E. was saying was true. Their factories, their hospitals, their communication networks, all of it relied on parts and supplies that came from Council-controlled companies. The Council used this technological dependence to control entire civilizations, Dr. B.A.E. continued. When species tried to develop their own technology, the Council would cut off their supply of critical components, forcing them to comply with Council demands. But humanity refused to be controlled. Dr. B.A.E. smiled slightly. While we pretended to use Council technology, our scientists were reverse engineering every device, every system, every component. We learned how everything worked, and then we improved it. She showed new diagrams, human technology that was clearly more advanced than anything the Council had ever built. Human fusion reactors are 3 times more efficient than Council power systems. Human computers process information 10 times faster than Council networks. Human weapons are more accurate, more powerful, and more reliable than anything in the Council arsenal. Most importantly, Dr. B.A.E. said, human technology is independent. We don't need Council supplies, Council fuel, or Council parts. We are completely self-sufficient. The impact of her words rippled across the galaxy. Hundreds of species that had depended on Council technology suddenly realized they had been trapped in a system designed to exploit them. Meanwhile, Trade Minister Wan Hiejin was addressing the galaxy's economic situation from her office in Seoul. The Galaxy Council has claimed that human withdrawal will cause economic collapse, she said. This is another lie designed to frighten you into submission. Wan Hiejin displayed charts and graphs showing galactic trade patterns. The truth is that the Council economy has been dependent on human productivity for decades. Humans operate 40% of the galaxy's manufacturing plants. Human farms produce 30% of the galaxy's food. Human miners extract 50% of the galaxy's rare metals. She paused to let these numbers sink in. When Council representatives claimed that humans needed their protection, they forgot to mention that their own worlds would starve without human food, freeze without human energy, and collapse without human industry. But we are not cruel, Wan Hiejin continued. Any species that wishes to trade with humanity on fair and equal terms will find us to be generous partners. Any species that threatens us will find us to be dangerous enemies. On the Blurian homeworld of Aquatica, Ambassador Aquanine was having an emergency meeting with his government leaders. The Blurians were amphibious creatures who lived in underwater cities, and they had always been nervous members of the Council. The humans are offering us a separate peace treaty, Aquanine reported. They say they have no quarrel with species that were not part of Project Quarantine. Can we trust them? Asked Prime Swimmer Reef, Ara.aqua, 9, thought about his interactions with humans over the years. They had always been honest and fair in their dealings with his people. I think we can, he said. The humans have never lied to us. Unlike the Council, they have never tried to control us or make us dependent on them. Then contact Ambassador Kim Dae-hoon, Reef Ara decided. Tell him the Blurian Republic wishes to discuss a new alliance. Similar conversations were happening on dozens of worlds across the galaxy. Species that had been forced into the Council alliance were suddenly free to choose their own futures. But not all species were willing to accept humanity's new position. On the Vextar homeworld, military commander Zexthak was meeting with his War Council. The Vextar had been the dominant military power in the Council, and they were not ready to give up their position. The humans humiliated us at Kepler, Zexthak said, his mandibles clicking angrily. They destroyed Rexhun's fleet and made us look weak in front of the entire galaxy. What do you suggest? Asked General Hivemar. Total war, Zexthak replied. Mobilize every ship, every weapon, every soldier. The humans may have better technology, but we have greater numbers. We can overwhelm them with sheer force. But even as the Vextar planned for war, their economy was starting to collapse. Human shipping companies had stopped delivering supplies to Vextar worlds. Human manufacturers had canceled contracts for military equipment. Human farmers had ended food exports to Vextar colonies. Within days, Vextar cities were experiencing power shortages, food rationing, and equipment failures. The species that had thought itself superior to humans suddenly found itself helpless without human support. Captain John Minwoo was leading a fleet of human ships through previously forbidden space, establishing new trade routes that bypassed Council territory entirely. His ship, the Ulsan's Fury, was an exploration vessel equipped with the latest human technology. "Captain," reported his navigator, Lieutenant Park Nyan, "we've established contact with the Crystalline Collective. They're requesting permission to join our trade network." The Crystalline Collective was a group of silicon-based life forms that the Council had always treated as primitive beings barely worthy of notice. But the humans had studied their culture and found them to be highly intelligent and artistic. "Grant their request," Captain Jeon ordered, "and send them our standard friendship package, medical supplies, communication equipment, and cultural databases." 6 months had passed since humanity's dramatic withdrawal from the Galaxy Council, and the galaxy was a very different place. President Shin Myung stood on the observation deck of the new space station orbiting Earth, looking out at the hundreds of ships from dozens of different species that now came and went freely through human space. "Madam President," said her aide, Secretary Kang Woojin, "Chancellor Velthera has arrived for the meeting." President Shin nodded. Today's meeting would decide the future of galactic civilization. The Galaxy Council, which had ruled space for over 1,000 years, was asking humanity for terms of surrender. In the meeting room, Chancellor Velthera looked very different from the proud leader she had been 6 months ago. Her exoskeleton was dull, her 4 eyes were tired, and her movements were slow and careful. With her came representatives from the few species still loyal to the Council, mostly those who had been part of Project Quarantine. Across the table sat President Shin, Admiral Choi Dong-min, and Ambassador Kim Dae-hoon. The humans looked confident and relaxed, while the aliens appeared nervous and desperate. "Chancellor Velthara," President Shin said politely, "thank you for coming. I understand you want to discuss the future of Council-human relations." Velthara clicked her mandibles weakly. "President Shin, the Council is prepared to offer humanity full autonomy within our existing system. You would have complete independence in your internal affairs, plus advanced technological sharing from our most secret research projects." President Shin smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "Chancellor, I think you misunderstand the situation. We are not here to negotiate humanity's place in your system. We are here to discuss your system's place in our new order." The alien representatives shifted uncomfortably. They had come expecting to bargain with a junior species seeking better treatment. Instead, they were facing the dominant power in the galaxy. Admiral Choi Dong-min activated a holographic display that showed the current state of galactic politics. Most of the galaxy was now colored blue, indicating worlds that had joined the Human Galactic Cooperative. Only a small section remained red, showing the few systems still under Council control. "As you can see," Admiral Choi said, 80% of the galaxy has already chosen to align with humanity. Your Council now controls only 12% of inhabited worlds, and most of those are considering leaving. The Vextar Empire alone still has 300 worlds," protested General Zexthak, who had come as Velthera's military advisor. "Had," corrected Admiral Choi. "As of yesterday, the Vextar Colonial Assembly voted to break away from the Empire and join our cooperative. Your 300 worlds are now down to about 30. General Zexthak's mandibles clicked frantically. "Impossible. Those colonies would never betray their home species." Ambassador Kim Dae-hoon spoke up. "General, they didn't betray anyone. They simply chose freedom over oppression. When we showed them the evidence of Project Quarantine, they realized what the Empire really thought of them. The truth was harsh but clear. The Vextar had always treated their colonies as sources of raw materials and cheap labor. When the colonies learned they could join an alliance that offered them equality and independence, the choice was easy. President Shin leaned forward. Chancellor, let me be direct. The Galaxy Council as you knew it is finished. Your member species have learned that they were being exploited, and they have chosen a better path. However, she continued, we are not interested in conquest or revenge. We are prepared to offer you a place in the new galactic order, but it will be as equals, not as rulers. Velthara felt her pride fighting with her desperation. The Council had been the supreme authority in the galaxy for 1,000 years. How could they become just another member species? What exactly are you proposing? She asked quietly. Admiral Choi explained. Complete dissolution of the Galaxy Council. In its place, we will establish the Human Galactic Cooperative, an alliance of independent species working together for mutual benefit. Species that participated in Project Quarantine will be placed under observation for 10 years. You will not be allowed to maintain large military forces or interfere in other species' affairs. However, you will receive full access to cooperative trade networks, technology sharing, and cultural exchanges. And if we refuse? General Zexthak demanded. President Shin's expression became cold. Then you will face the same fate as the hegemony of Krix. The alien shuddered. The hegemony of Krix had been a small empire that refused to accept human authority. When they attacked a human colony, the response had been swift and devastating. Human fleets had systematically destroyed every Krix military installation in their territory. The Krix species still existed, but their government had been completely eliminated. We prefer cooperation to conquest, President Shin said, but we will not tolerate aggression against our allies or interference with galactic peace. Chancellor Velthara realized she had no choice. The council was broken, her allies were gone, and humanity held all the advantages. What guarantees do we have that you will treat us fairly? She asked. The same guarantee we give all our partners, Ambassador Kim replied. Mutual respect, equal treatment, and the right to govern yourselves as you see fit, as long as you don't threaten others. He activated another display showing the structure of the Human Galactic Cooperative. Every member species has a voice in our council. Decisions are made by consensus, not by the dictates of a ruling species. No species is forced to be dependent on others. Over the next several hours, they negotiated the details. The Galaxy Council would officially dissolve in 1 month. All Council military forces would be disbanded or transferred to local planetary defense. Council technology would be shared freely with all species. Most importantly, the new cooperative would be based on the principle that no species should control or exploit another. While the politicians were negotiating, Captain Kang, Wu Jin and Commander Yi Hana were overseeing the construction of humanity's newest project. In the space where the old council headquarters had been, they were building research stations and cultural centers that would serve all species equally. Commander, reported engineer Lee Jong-soo, the new stations will be online within 2 months. We'll have facilities for scientific research, cultural exchange, and diplomatic meetings. Commander Yi smiled as she watched alien and human workers cooperating on the construction. It's amazing, isn't it? 6 months ago, these species were afraid to work together. Now they're building the future of galactic civilization. The change was indeed remarkable. Where the Council had used fear and dependence to maintain control, the cooperative used trust and mutual benefit. Species that had been enemies for centuries were now working together on joint projects. Dr. Lim Taeyong, now head of the Terran Foreign Relations Institute, was conducting orientation sessions for newly joining species. In her current session, she was speaking to representatives from the Methane Collective, a group of gas giant dwellers who had been ignored by the Council for centuries. Welcome to the cooperative, Dr. Lim said warmly. We're excited to learn about your culture and see how we can work together. The lead methane representative, a being called Wushara, was amazed. You actually want to learn about us? The Council always said we were too primitive to contribute anything meaningful. The Council was wrong about many things, Dr. Lim replied. Every species has unique knowledge and capabilities, The Methane Collective's understanding of atmospheric chemistry could revolutionize terraforming technology across the galaxy. This was the human approach. Instead of dismissing different species as inferior, they looked for ways each species could contribute to the common good. As the months passed, the transformation became more complete. Former Council worlds reported dramatic improvements in living standards, technological development, and social freedom. The cooperative's open approach to technology sharing meant that all species benefited from each other's discoveries. On what used to be Nexus Prime, the capital of the old council, Ambassador Li Hyun walked through streets that were now filled with beings from hundreds of different species. They were not here as subjects paying tribute to their rulers, but as equals, participating in galactic civilization. He stopped at a memorial that had been built to remember the victims of the Council's oppressive policies. The memorial listed thousands of species that had been conquered, suppressed, or eliminated by Council forces over the centuries. "Never again," read the inscription at the base of the memorial in dozens of languages. A young human officer, Lieutenant Park Seo-yeon, joined Ambassador Lee at the memorial. She was part of the new generation of humans who would help guide the galaxy's future. "Ambassador," she said, "do you think we made the right choice? Some people say we could have found a peaceful solution with the Council." Ambassador Lee shook his head. "Lieutenant, there was no peaceful solution with a system built on oppression and exploitation. The Council could never have changed because their entire structure depended on keeping other species weak and dependent." He pointed to the memorial. "These species tried peaceful solutions for centuries. They tried negotiation, compromise, and cooperation. The Council's response was always the same: more control, more dependence, more oppression.